I guess we need an intro. Let's go.
Welcome back to the Entrepreneur 360 podcast. As usual, guys, thank you very much for joining me. Thank you for checking out the episode. Please, as always, share this episode with anybody you feel might benefit. If you haven't heard the previous episodes, don't know what journey I'm on and what this podcast is about, go check out some of the earlier episodes. This one, every time I start any episodes these days, I'm saying how pivotal and important the episode is to me. But today's a super duper important one. Because we're talking about something that I rant a lot about on this podcast about, which is drum and bass music. And everyone's like, oh, drum and bass music, drum and bass music. Today really is about drum and bass music because not only did we, the three guys sitting in the room, we all just got back from a 5K drum and bass runners run, making a bloody noise at 7 o'clock in the morning through the Lani suburbs of Bernhaven, Johannesburg. But we are talking about drum and bass music, particularly the drum and bass brand that I've been working with in the world of drum and bass, which is the Conclave. I've spoken a little bit about this brand on the podcast. I've spoken a little bit about how highly I think of the guys who started the Conclave in Morris and Nantes, and I've spoken very highly about how lacquer I feel about the girls who run social media and their boyfriends, and just the tribe that I've somehow managed to find myself a part of. So I thought I was speaking to Nantes, who's a super interesting dude in his own right, but he kind of said that he wants to discuss what the Conclave actually is so that we can give a bit of context to it. Not just for our current community and our current tribe, but potentially for other people who are outside the tribe. And that brings in our third guest today, which is Stewart, who I actually didn't know until this morning. And I didn't realize he's such an interesting guy as well. And also brought a lot into the conversation because Stewart's is just joining the tribe. He hasn't yet been to a Conclave party, but I think he's starting to ask questions about what is the Conclave and what makes you guys different, because it isn't very different to some of the other drum and bass communities out there. So I say all that, it's about drum and bass, about the Conclave, but actually, what is within the theme of this podcast, it's about mindset, and it's about intention, and it's about what goes on in our brains. This isn't about the music, really. It's actually about the human being and the brain and all that stuff. So I'm going to hand it over to Nantes to introduce himself, tell you guys who he is, and then to Stuart to introduce himself, because he's also, it turns out, a bit of a brain freak. That's the name I'm calling it for people who are not like them, they're like me. So Nantes, what's the story?
Yeah, Laka, thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited, been very excited to join you on the podcast. I've been loving what you've been putting out there. I've been loving the direction that your podcasts have taken, not just incorporating the rave scene, but also really touching on mental health, optimizing your being, all of that kind of thing. And I think this is where I think a lot of my, let's call it like, I've got 3 different realms that I apply myself to. The first one being the Conclave, which is obviously a Neurofunk based drum and bass brand.
Neurofunk,
all the way. Neuro 0.
For the record, for those drum and bassers who do hear this, for the record, I like Neurofunk. I don't love Neurofunk.
Yet.
I'm making a t-shirt with that on. I like normal people's Neurofunk. I mean, normal people's drum and bass music, not these freaks. Anyway, I still like it though, don't get me wrong. I put my weights.
You better like it.
2-3 in the morning.
No choice. So yeah, well, one of the realms that I apply myself to is obviously the Conclave. It's I think that's the passion, the passion project, which turned into a reality to create a space for others to also enjoy Neurofunk and drum and bass in a safe way. I'll tie this in later, but the second place I apply myself, which has been qualified and studied and working in the field of transformational science and applying yourself in a different way so that you can experience a new reality. So I think that is very important. I think that is probably the most important part, is because if you experience your world directly about how you feel inside, and if you can change that, you can really open and liberate yourself. To experience so much more freedom, peace, alignment in a lot of senses. And then the third realm I apply myself to is I'm a captain of a sailing boat. This So it's very vastly different worlds, but what I want to talk about today specifically is kind of the intention behind the conclave, which brings me to back to my second realm of endeavor is transformational science and how you can apply yourself to become the most authentic version of yourself, the most integrated version of yourself. And I think that is something that I would love to talk about later, is integration, because you can get as much knowledge as you want, but if you don't apply it and you don't integrate it into your physical being on a cellular level, you're going to stay the same and experience the same things over and over again and try and learn these same lessons in the same way. All it needs is kind of a perspective shift. And that is the message we want to bring through to our drum and bass followers, the people who follow the conclave, who've become part of our community, who we've built relationships with, is to empower those people to be the best versions of themselves, where there is a space for you to come and feel the things that you've neglected to feel, that you need to go through and feel. There's a space where you can come and communicate those feelings or those understandings or your shortcomings, and there will be people in this community who will help and uplift you from there, which I think is the biggest driving force. When Morris and I started the conclave, both him and myself are heavily invested in personal development, because we know if you empower yourself, then it's so much easier to be an inspiration to others around you. People follow an example. They don't like being pushed or something like that. They like being following an example. So it's vitally important that Morris and myself also take care of ourselves so that we can take care of our community. And that is where the base of the conclave lies, is really empowering the people in our community. Sometimes it's not just by saying something. It's a feeling you get when you walk into a place. We've all been to parties and you feel, this is not my vibe. I don't feel welcome or at home here. And for whatever reason that might be, it's also okay to feel like that. But what we want to really incorporate and really work towards is attracting the right kind of people so that the environment of the conclave stays pure, it stays empowering, and people feel drawn to that because they know it's an extremely safe space for them to come and express themselves on the dance floor.
Yeah, I mean, it's a super. Well, this first, let's get Stuart involved here, bro. What the hell are you doing up to that, bro? Like, we came here, we went for a run, you followed us back here, now what?
What a crazy morning.
So you've also got a bit of experience with this neural pathways, mindset stuff. I mean, I was listening to you guys talk over breakfast now when we were talking, and you also talk a lot about the physiological elements of music, of intention, of some of the recreational things that we do beyond that. And that's why I was happy to talk about this on this podcast, because I feel like it's all good. Oh shit! Sorry, you had a bit of a narcissist phone ring, but that's why, that the point of this podcast, you haven't even heard the podcast. You literally walked in and you're like, "Bro, we're doing a podcast episode. Join in." The point of this podcast is, for those who haven't heard it, just a quick one line is, this podcast is my journey over the last year of finding my purpose in life, finding my intention in life, setting my mind to the goals that I want to achieve, and starting to do something, or starting to do some of the things that I can be the best in the world at. Stopping doing the shit that I'm just doing because it's bringing me money, or because it's what society dictates you should do. You should have a job. So when you guys start talking about setting an intention for your inner brain, or your stomach brain, all of this kind of stuff, I'm tuning into that. I don't know anything about it, but it's interesting to me, and I think it's interesting to the audience that I'm building on this podcast, because this is what people seem to be reacting to, is this kind of mentalism. We talk about cold plunging on the podcast, we talk about putting yourself in uncomfortable situations, we talk a lot about being social, which is something that I'm finding more and more people have a tough time doing, just being normal in social situations. So
without alcohol, I think that's also a big thing.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I've spoken to so many people who, don't have a problem with alcohol. Everyone has their own choices to make.
Yeah.
But I found the people you hang around with, you drink and you go out to meet for drinks. That kind of changes when you kind of stop doing that, and really kind of integrating into society without that is an interesting experience. That's for sure.
Which is something that actually, ironically, we spoke a little bit about this morning.
Yeah.
The alcohol element.
I mean, I think why we depend so much on alcohol. You know, as you say, society seems to be, we've never been so connected, but at the same time so lonely. And
sorry to interrupt, but the loneliness element is a pandemic. I'm starting to realize. Sorry, carry on.
That, you know, because we're spending less time with each other actually in person, and we're communicating more, you know, through technology, and technology is giving us this folks sense of socialize. You know, kind of people lie back and they scroll through Facebook or look on Instagram, and they, you know, it somewhat tricks their brain going that social need is being met, but you know, it's truly not. And gosh, where was I going with this?
About the alcohol.
Yes, about the alcohol. And I think it's that because we're socializing less and less, and you know, from young kids spending more time behind the screen, more gaming, so we're actually losing that ability to socialize, you know, comfortably. And as we know, I mean, alcohol is a very powerful, how can I say, removal of inhibitions.
Lubricant.
Yeah, social lubricant, removal of inhibitions. And I mean, we've been in social situations before where people are, you know, everyone's sober and kind of, you know, what the level of conversations at, maybe it's very surface and everyone's kind of, you know, not putting their true foot forward yet, you know, and then, you know, a bit of intoxication starts happening, and then the party animal of everyone starts coming out. And everyone starts, you know, loosening up a bit, becoming a bit more real. You know, that's where people have been relying on it. But the beauty of the rave space, you know, what I found is that it's a space where super weird and wonderful people come out there. I mean, the odds that you are going to be the weirdest person there is highly unlikely.
Which is a competition we're all proud of participating in. By the way.
Yeah, I mean, it's a space where you realize actually how beautiful that is. That divergency in personalities and people that are willing to, you know, as you said, a safe space where you can come out and express. I think most people actually are a lot weirder and actually have the desire to express a lot of weirdness. No, I don't say weirdness in a negative way. I just say it in a
not the normal,
divergent from the normal,
yeah.
And not basically the way you see people, for example, dress and behave in public spaces, like say slapping in the middle of Sandton City kind of thing. But the same people that you're crossing paths with every day that, you know, might be suited up and, you know.
So I want to pick that up because, I mean, obviously, as I mentioned, you know, we want to talk about what makes the conclave different, and what makes, it's not even about the conclave, to be honest. It's actually just about, I think, some of the people that in our tribe, and I'm talking about the conclave's tribe, and also in my personal tribe, which is made up of a wide variety of other people. And then there's a whole bunch of different other tribes. Everyone's got their tribe where they go to these parties. They're always seeing the same people. But I think going back to what you've just been saying about what is normal, in inverted commas, like with these suits and ties and that sort of thing, there is a lot of misunderstanding, or there's a perception that these parties that go on, regardless of what party it is, these parties that go on are all about just like being as crazy as you can, going to listen to the latest beats, paying a lot of money to go see an international DJ, taking whatever, like whether it's alcohol or drugs or whatever it is, and just losing your mind. It's about fun and partying and all that stuff. But, and this is, I think, maybe why I connected so well with you, Nantes, and with Morris, and I think why I connected so quickly with you. Like, remember, we're joining tonight, Techno Tribe Party, eh?
Yeah.
Don't forget. March Free Fest, by the way.
DJs there, be there.
It's because you gravitate towards the people that have the same mentality about these parties as you do. And there is a mentality, there's an intention. We don't go to these parties to lose our bloody minds. We go to these parties to find our minds.
We're seeking connection.
100%.
That's what it is. Connection with ourselves.
Yes.
Exactly.
And connection
There's something a lot deeper than just a bunch of people paying money to go and to stand into a dark crowd or go stand on a field somewhere in the middle of nowhere with the stars on top of them, with lights flashing around them. There is an intention mentally to make ourselves better in what we're doing. It's not about just a party.
Absolutely.
There's a reason that we go. It's because it actually makes us stronger, happier, healthier people.
Absolutely. And From, I mean, being involved in transformational breakthrough coaching for over 10 years, I think there's not a lot of spaces you can go to that will change you or allow you the space to explore your inner world when you close your eyes as a dance floor. I think it's a beautiful way where there's a direct connection with your body, because you're physically moving it, but your eyes are closed. There's an internal dialogue happening, or an internal flow, that I think a key word here is that you can surrender to. When you try and fight it, that's when we start to miss the point of who we are. Yeah, no, go ahead.
Yeah, no, 100%. I have had very profound experiences in doing that. You know, it's a meditation.
It is.
You know, eyes closed, feeling the music.
Sorry, I love that meditation because I meditate and I party. I've never thought about the fact that when I'm on the dance floor listening to that music, I'm actually
meditation.
meditating.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, technically, you know, people always just think meditation, they think sitting, you know, lotus position, eyes closed, but you know, technically, even with the traditions, you know, Eastern traditions such as Buddhism, it is recognized. You know, you get walking meditation. You know, washing the dishes and folding the laundry can be a meditation. It's being
Present.
extremely present and mindful of each moment. You know, there's no, when you're folding laundry, it's like we're folding the laundry. You know, when we clean the dishes, we clean the dishes.
And that's what you're dialed into. There's nothing else.
There's no, oh my word, like my boss last week on Thursday, and you know, the fight that I had with my partner yesterday. Here we are in that present moment. Dishes, doing the dishes, folding laundry. And you know, it's when you're in that purely present moment, and I'm gonna say outside of the racing thoughts of the mind, where there's this absolute peace. There's this peace and contentment which you find in that moment on the dance floor. It's just there. It's a moment of perfectness. Time stops, and it's just again surrounded by all other beings. Again, looking for also connection, peace, acceptance, love. Yeah.
And that journey to me is such a important journey, that you need to look for that peace, connection. All of that needs to start with yourself.
Yeah.
Because the saying goes, you can't feed others if you don't have food on your plate. You know, and I feel like first to create a better world, you have to better yourself. You need to learn more compassion for your mistakes, for yourself. You need to learn how to love the parts of you that you think are unlovable. You need to align more with your truest being, and like by loving those parts that are negative in you, you automatically open up more space for others, for yourself to love others authentically. You know, I think
it's
that
the greatest gift you can give the world.
Absolutely.
Is to you know, enlighten yourself.
Absolutely.
And just get fully love yourself. You know, you can only love, you can only meet others as deeply as you've met yourself, and you can only love others as deeply as you love yourself.
Amen, brother. That's profound. That's a yes.
Yeah, it's an interesting one because listen, guys, I got to bring some reality down to you for just a second and let you know that there are going to be people who listen to this conversation and fucking listen to these fucking idiots talking about how you go find yourself on the dance floor and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Hey, I appreciate where they're coming from, because it is like, for years I used to do this and I never appreciated the psychological benefits that I was taking away from these parties and being around, as you say, being around other people and feeding you and just connecting with other people and all that. There are people who go to these parties who don't appreciate this or haven't yet learned or recognized that this is part of the journey, part of the experience. You pay your money to get into this big festival, go see this international DJ or whatever it is, or go to a festival out in the bush. Take some time to appreciate what it's actually doing to your brain and your neurons and all that stuff as well. Like, to the community that listens, that is on this journey but hasn't yet connected in, like, what do you say to those guys? Like, how do you encourage them to get involved in what's more than just what's going on the dance, more than just like fat beats and all that shit?
I think there's a great quote. I can't remember who said it, but the longest journey you will ever take in your life is only like a foot long, and it's from your head into your heart.
That's cool.
And you can conceptualize things in your head. You can think about things, but true connection comes from the heart. It's a feeling. So I think,
It's outside of concept, as you say.
yeah,
I mean, I can form these concepts about you when I meet you. At the end of the day, it's all ideas. But to actually, meet you there and just in flow, communicate with you and not, with even subconsciously, we start forming ideas about this other person, and then I perceive you through that lens of these ideas. But to not do that,
Yeah.
in itself is a spiritual practice.
Absolutely.
To like actually just take you as who you are.
yeah,
And
without
meet
judgment.
meet you in that present moment.
Yeah, and the only way you step out of judgment, if I were to judge you, no one to step out of that is I need to look at where I'm judging myself.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's quite a comparison thing, like you're judging others because you're comparing their experience to yours, but just being present with your own experience. And to tie it back into the people you were saying, like people who've not had that experience yet, is get out of the head. And it's hard because we as human beings have built up a lot of trauma. We've built up walls throughout our life, and in my opinion, this is going to be a very controversial opinion, is that trauma is the greatest gift you can receive, because now it shines a light on where you need to be healed. And the word enlightenment is thrown around so frequently, but enlightenment really means shining light on your darkness. And loving that, sometimes, and you can't love anything from your head. You can think of a concept of love. It looks like this, or it looks like that. And those concepts could have been warped by our examples we were fed as children by our parents who didn't know really how to do it, or But true connection comes from the heart, and you need to feel into that. And it's really interesting to see, once people let go, sink into the heart, how easy it is to then flow.
Yeah. Well, I think so. It's super interesting what you say there, because you guys, you don't know yet. You'll find out tonight when we draw back. Super nuts. I go to these environments. I'm involved in these communities, drum and bass, DMD runners, the Conclave, whatever I'm doing in this space, in this community, is for social reasons. I'm an overly extroverted human being. It's a problem.
I think you're great at it, honestly. I've met so many people through the boating, tens of thousands of people. And you're one of the guys who really stand out, who understands how to connect with people authentically. And that's such an incredible gift.
No, I appreciate that. And it's something that I realized. So I talk, as I said on the podcast, I talk a little bit about, quite a lot about finding my purpose and finding out what can I be the best in the world. And ironically, that's something I believe I can be the best in the world.
Absolutely.
I believe I can be the best in the world at being social. And I say, it is something that I'm working on, to not be so over the top, because I know it puts my friends in a lot of, they don't get it. They do not get it, bro. Like, they watch me, I'll be walking on the street with them, or we're walking through a cafe, like a pavement cafe, and I'll just stop and talk to a pregnant woman. And like, I'll tune her something, like, hey, how's the pregnancy going?
The one you made pregnant.
It wasn't mine, it's not mine. Not yours. I it was mine, I know. But, and like, I'm talking about a real situation the other day that happened, and my mate turned around, she goes, "Bro, you can't just stop and talk to pregnant people." I'm like, wow, why can't I do that? I did it, she laughed, and we had a moment, and we carried on. So I know, like, I put my mates a lot of the time in a couple of situations, but when I go to these environments, like, I realize one of the things that I'm really great at, and the reason I go is to socialize. I barely even dance, and people often say to me that, "Bro, you don't fucking dance, eh?"
Yeah.
I'm not around. I'm here to talk to people, I'm here to talk shit, I'm here to make jokes, I'm here to compliment people on what they're wearing, I'm here to ask them where they got their shoes, like, that's what I do. I'm here to give out suckers and, like, just help people, like, that's what I do. I've got a huge savior complex, also a big problem. But I bring it back to what you were saying about being on the dance floor and having these barriers up, because that's one of the things I'm noticing. I'm in a fortunate position because I have no barriers up. So I've got no qualms, absolutely no qualms about walking up to the hottest girl on the dance floor and shooting her. How's it? What's going on? What's your story? No qualms about walking up to the biggest O on the dance floor, no shirt on and ass speaking out, shooting, "What's your vibe, bro?" And I've got no qualms walking up to the chick in the corner sitting on her own who doesn't have any mates there. I've got absolutely no problem. Well, what I'm noticing more and more is these walls, as you say, that we put up socially.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it is a generation. Sorry, I say it's a generational thing. And it used to be a generational thing, and then COVID happened. And I think COVID made us all have these walls up.
I think COVID was one of the greatest things that could happen to us, because what it forced us to do is spend a lot of alone time with yourself.
Yeah.
And I think you can flip it from like being such a pandemic to a state of, you know what, I learned so much through that. I had the opportunity to be still and quiet with myself, understand my subconscious mind and what I'm feeling, versus like constantly on the move, going to work.
Take a breath.
You know, and we don't slow down enough.
But what's neurologically speaking, because as I say, you guys kind of have experience in that. What do we do, or how do we help those people in terms of like when they're on a dance floor, even in any social situation? Like I'm working on a social program at the moment, by the way. So this is where a lot of this, maybe this is a bit of research for me. I'm putting together a social program that I feel is necessary in today's world. How do we help people recognize that at the end of the day we're all the same, we've all got the same insecurities, maybe not the same insecurities, but we've all got insecurities, we've all got problems with ourselves, we all think we're ugly, we all think we're fat, we all think we're unattractive.
I think that there is one key word, and I would really encourage people to practice it, not just be some dude who's on a podcast and you're listening to his voice. And I've spoken to these gents quite extensively this morning, and I'm not going to bore everyone with the details, and you can research this yourself. The latest in transformational neural science is a process called MBIT, multiple brain integration techniques. They found 4 brains, neuron connections. And I mean,
you were talking about this while I was trying to feed my stomach.
Basically, exercising the gut brain.
Yeah, there you go.
And it happens in all of us. It's happening in you right now. It's happening in you. It's happening in me. It's happening to all the listeners. There's communication happening between the 4 brains, and I'll just quickly touch on that. You know the brain in your head. You've got neurons in your heart, which is incredible to think that your heart is thinking, but not in the same way that your brain is thinking. You can conceptualize and think about a pink elephant in your head, but you can't conceptualize a pink elephant in your heart. Your heart, you can feel love, compassion, sadness in your heart, but you can't do it in your head. So just kind of to differentiate the levels of, or the realms that these brains operate in. The head brain, the heart brain, the gut brain. This is an interesting one because it's the most primitive one. In the fetus, it's the first brain that forms. So it performs way before your head brain. Your heart also forms before your head, if I'm not mistaken, meaning that your heart and your head operate independently from one another. We've been taught, no, your head tells your heart to beat. No, it doesn't. Your heart has its own intelligence. Your gut brain, and then in my opinion, the most profound and important brain is the pelvic brain. Why are these so important? Is that your whole nervous system is constantly calculating, receiving information, giving feedback, how you react, and all of the trauma. And trust me when I say this, been working with people with deep trauma transformation for 10 years. It sits in the body somewhere, And the starting process, I'm not going to get into the MBIT process sequence so much. People can reach out to us if they want to find out more. But the starting process is compassion. And for who? For yourself, for your own damn self. And that is where I think, to me, what compassion means is love, all-encompassing, authentic, genuine love, but with a higher intellect, with a higher mind. That is compassion, with a higher understanding. Oh, you fucked up. Cool. I've got compassion for you because I have love within myself and I have a higher understanding. I can see why that behavior is in you, because that is a trauma response that's been programmed into one of these brains, and it's allowed, like, now this is our coping mechanism. And I think tying it back to the dance floors, like, I want people to come intentionally enjoy the conclave. Obviously people are going to come and escape. I escaped for a long time because my reality wasn't where I wanted it to be. And you know what I did? I didn't change my reality, I changed myself. And then my reality changed. And that is the power of the MBIT process. And I'm kind of giving a little bit away here. Is like the conclave, we have subliminal messages. Yes. Now I'll tell you what they are. The first, and it's the MBIT process. the multiple brain integration process, because those are the most profound transformations that happen within an hour and a half within the body. If you follow the sequence, there's a specific sequence. I'm not going to bore you with a guy who has 7 doctor's degrees and partnered with a Tai Chi master who discovered this. But the process is you go to your heart first. That's where the integration happens. That's where the magic happens. Then you go to your head. Then you go back to the heart. You go then to the gut, then back to the heart, then to the pelvic floor, and then back to the heart. And that is what we want to encourage, is really aligning people with their most truest, most authentic version of themselves, so that they can not only just empower themselves, but be an example for the people around them, to stand within integrity, within peace within themselves, within alignment with themselves. So the festival this year, that was on the 22nd of June, that was the heart. We really wanted to invite people into the heart. And these 4 brains, which I've been kind of hammering on about, they all have a highest expression of themselves. If they're operating in their optimum function, the head brain is creative problem solving. But for the head, if there's no problems to solve, it loves creating them. Don't you agree?
Yeah, 100%.
Then the heart is the highest expression is compassion and love. But that's the first thing to shut down when we experience hurt.
When those walls come up.
Yeah.
Like you say.
It's the heart that shuts down. And the fascinating thing about humans is that our nervous system is so fine-tuned to pick up on frequency, even if we think, oh, we're not so good at it. You are. Because you can feel a vibe.
100%.
Always. And the beauty of it is the state of our nervous system influences the person next to us. They can pick up the heart's magnetic field 30 meters away.
Yeah, when you're around that guy who's, abnormally calm in chaos, it kind of really helps settle your nerves.
Absolutely.
It's contagious. But my answer to your question was, how do we help bring, people bring those walls down? And I'd say
because that's my space. It's like I want more people to understand that we're not freaks.
Exactly what you're doing. I'll say it's exactly what you're doing. I mean, you're doing it through the modality of communication, like coming to open people up. I mean, I myself as an introvert, something that has opened me up at parties. I've kind of been there, say I've known no one, I'm out of town at a party, and the guy like you comes up to me, how's it, China? Starts talking to me like he's known me his whole life, and as as the minutes go by, I feel my shoulders drop and I relax, and I've just made a friend. And it's exactly what you're doing. People like you that are going into the space, and I would group that whole thing as breaking the ice. So I mean, you are breaking the ice through socialization. Another way that I say that helps, let people be comfortable is where they see the party animal. So people there, they're a little bit uncomfortable to dance, they're a bit shy of dancing, moving, and then that one guy comes in and he's bloody moonwalking there along the dance floor and just completely lost his shit. If you notice, the people around him will all kind of start jamming. You just need one guy to come and dance in a group of people who are a little bit nervous to dance, and he's completely loose and he's just feeling the music. Those people will also start letting go and feeling the music because they feel it's okay. It's like the spotlight's not just on them now to act out. There's some icebreaker who he's decided, I'm more than comfortable having the spotlight on me, breaking the ice. He breaks the ice, everyone else starts dancing, letting go.
Icebreaker is my new nickname.
You're an icebreaker.
I reckon.
You're
a good one.
Basically, social icebreaker.
I'm going to say that on my phone.
Yeah.
Steven Icebreaker.
No, it's and like what's bizarre about it, and I believe it's beautifully put, that what you just explained. I think that analogy that you put about being on the dance floor, like that dancing sort of thing, because we've all been there.
Yeah.
We've all been to a disco and like everyone's knowing wants to dance. Why not just decide, fuck it, I'm going to dance, and the next thing, exactly same concept.
At a wedding,
Yeah.
The DJ starts, and then there's that, the drunk uncle hits the dance floor, and then everyone comes and dances. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And you see, I guess what I mean, I love performing that role. Like I love it. And as I said, it comes very naturally to me. I know it's put it my.
You are a drunk uncle though.
Yeah. Still drinking.
Sober uncle.
I'm sober uncle. I don't need the booze. That's the irony. I don't need the booze to get the confidence. I just have the confidence because it's how I've been brought up in my life. Like my entire life has been, I'm of small stature, I'm stocky, I've got a big mouth, I never rolled anyone at school, I was mates with everyone, had a fucking mouth on me that got me into trouble and then immediately out of trouble. I never had issues because I learned the armor that I needed to have.
I mean, personality.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But I think also it's as I say, I really enjoy that position because I think, as I say, it makes some of my mates a little bit uncomfortable, and it made my ex-partner uncomfortable. We used to laugh, me and her. We used to laugh like she was very introverted, and I'm me, me. And she would laugh. She'd say, "Let me explain to you how socializing works." She would say, "Every day we wake up and the universe, God, whoever you believe, is giving you a bag of coins. And during the day, you have to go and give those coins out. And my bag of coins is very, very small. I only have a few coins in it. So I only talk to a few people in the day. You..."
On the reserve bank.
The reserve bank of coins. And then sometimes you get coins back from people. Like when you come home from a day out, you come back with more coins than you left. When I give my coins away, I don't get any coins back. Like, it was a great analogy she was explaining to me because it's a very good analogy because it helped me understand what an introvert goes through and how tough running into a person like me can be, who asks questions and wants to know and is inquisitive and says things and comments and compliments and they're like, "Bro, Jesus Christ, give me a break here, bro. Like, this is all the talking I do in a day normally, and you've just done it in 5 minutes with me on a dance floor." Where I've had a few, I do recognize it can be a bit full on. So I think there's a balance, as with anything in life, you need to balance it out. Yeah, it's a good analogy, that dancing, getting people dancing.
Yeah, it is.
It's a beautiful thing though, what you're actually doing. Myself as an introverted person, like I love that, and I wish I could be more like you. I'm trying to be, but because I mean, when you actually look at like what's going on here, at the end of the day, no one knows why we're here. We just happen to be here. Yeah. We're on this place called Earth. Nobody really knows what's going on. Nobody knows how they got there. I mean, if you want to kind of use an analogy, imagine it's like those TV series where the guys just, they wake up on an island or they wake up in like a room and everyone's got no idea how they got there. And, those movies are generally centered around the relationships which form and how the different personalities kind of meet and interact with each other. And there is this, we all know that there's a finite time here in this space we just happen to be. It's like you just spawn, if you want to use like gaming terms, you spawn in this world. You will leave this world at some time. You could leave tomorrow. You could leave at any time. There's no guarantees. We come from the same place. There's no doubt about that. Whatever that center point is where, if you want to say, all life and comes from, whether whatever creed, color, race, religion you are, there's this center, that I think we all came from. And, to actually just, in this moment of where there actually is truly no purpose, other than the purpose you create, to actually just stop with one another and go, how are you doing?
Yeah.
How's your day? And like, so, how's your journey? You've been journeying, you say you're 30 years old, you've been on this journey for 30 years old and I've been on for 25. Tell me about your journey, bro. This shit is fucking wild. To rather, but this thing about how we can just walk past each other every day and just not even look each other in the face. We sit on trains next to each other, don't say a word, but we're in this great mystery together. So I mean, with someone like you who can just sit down next to a stranger and just be like, in essence, in more socially appropriate manners, say, bro, tell me about your fucking journey.
So that's the benefit of doing this my whole life, is I've got all the tools. And I know I can gauge someone very quickly. What's the appropriate question to ask? How will it land? If it doesn't land well, the rare occasion it doesn't land well, how to get out of it, all that. And I think that's what I don't get about, like, I say this a few times, I say this to a lot of people when I lived in LA for 2 years. It's one of the biggest takeaways I had about America, just generally America, but LA in particular, was I was don't give a shit about you, bro. They're individualistic, they're on their own path, and that there's no stopping to talk, there's no stopping to check in, there's none of that. South Africa, or Africans just generally, in my experience, Africa and like the non-Western world, Oz are interested, genuinely interested in what is going on in your life and how are you doing. If they say how you doing, we all say how you doing, bro. My old man always used to say, someone used to say how you doing, that doesn't have to complain, like nobody cares. Which is true, no one really does care, but every now and again someone does check in on you. And I recently learned that the Japanese have a similar concept to Ubuntu, exactly the same concept, I just call it something different. Because culturally that's an important thing, man. Ubuntu in this country is massive, man. Why do we run now when we're running JB runs? Why do we run past a gardener walking to work or a chick, another chick running and saying morning, morning? Because that's who we are as Africans. America, that shit doesn't happen.
Yeah.
I ran for 2 years in America. One woman said hello to me back, and she was a Russian woman. Nobody just always don't give a fuck. Whereas it's important to us, like you say, we like to sit in a room and just check in on a car and go, bro, you're good. How's life? That's one of the most common things that happens at these parties. Bring it back to the party. How's your night, brother? How's your night been? And I was genuinely interested. How's your night? No, bro. I took some of that and I'm feeling fine. All right, do you need some water? Oh, actually, I do need some water. Yeah, bro. All of a sudden, you've changed that guy's life, bro. And you essentially saved his life. Like, he didn't drink water. He needed to drink water. You gave him some water. Well, that's why I give out the suckers. Sorry, that's why I give out the suckers. You know how many people come to me at other parties a year later and say, bro, you gave me a sucker at Twilight, at Earth Dance. You say, George, so I needed it. Because you don't, and that's what I love about being African or being in this country. And this is one of the things, if you're listening to this and you're thinking about immigrating, this is one of the things you're leaving behind for me. Because in the Western world, people don't.
You don't get that. I'm going.
Yeah, you've done it as well.
I'm flying to my 30th country Wednesday.
Speaking of work,
So being all of them, I've done Africa, South America, Europe, Asia, and North America. Then I've done the big five. And there's no place like South Africa. We always think, shit, it's fucked, yeah, like, shit's not working. But have you been to any other countries? It's we've got it's such a profound country to be in, you know, South Africa, like that you miss home when you're not here.
Yeah.
I always hear the same thing. It's just everyone says to me, quality of life.
Yeah, it's insane, you know. So let's talk about Neurofunk. How absolutely superior of a drum and bass genre it is.
Shut up. If you're not to drum and bass, follow Steve.
Listen to Neurofunk.
Before we end, firstly, let me just say thank you, fucking, this has been great. So this has been a really interesting episode for me because I'm starting to realize, as I say, about the reaction that I get to what I'm putting out there, that this is the direction that this podcast is kind of going, is people are interested in fixing their minds, fixing themselves socially. They don't know where to start. They are looking for help. And that's the other beautiful thing. We talk about intention. What's beautiful about this, and I say this, like I often like to end the podcast with like homework for people. And if I can give any homework out after this one, I'd say reach out to us.
And listen to Neurofunk.
Reach out to us because there's people, if it's not the three of us, like if you need help socializing with people, phone me, I'll come.
Yeah.
Sort you out. But maybe it's Nantes, maybe it's Stewart. Like if something's appealed to you, please reach out to us and get in touch and like ask us the questions. Any one of us will take the time to sit down with you and figure it out because that intention, I think, is one of the most important things. That's where this podcast started. I had the intention to improve myself, to improve my life.
If you want someone to rave with,
yes.
If you've been hesitating coming out because none of your friends want to have a rave, but you're really curious
About Neurofunk.
Dude,
join us.
So I've been listening to mates for years to say, come and do a festival. You don't know what you're missing. Like, these people are great. And you're 100% right, is that maybe there's people out there that want to go, but their mates don't want to go. You don't. That's what I said to you in the car this morning. I met Stuart for the first. We've never met before. Yeah. We've maybe chatted on the demo.
Yeah.
You met him. I didn't meet him.
Oh, you didn't meet.
I met Nantes last weekend at a drum and bass rave.
Yeah.
But it wasn't a Neurofunk drum and bass rave.
Unfortunately, I'm just kidding. It was great.
We met this morning. I picked you up, came to the run. Yeah. And what did I say to you on the way? I said, "What's your jaw tonight?" You went, "Oh no, bro. I was thinking about I don't know. I don't really jaw with anyone. I go to the jaws on my own." I was like, "Not anymore, bro." Like that's how quick it is. Now you're part of our tribe. No problem tonight. You're coming to Techno Tribe, not Free Fest. And you're going to party with my crew. You'll meet my tribe. And now whenever anybody goes, you never joining alone. So and I think it's a great piece of homework as well. If you need help joining, whether it's a rock festival or an EDM festival, we don't do house music though. No, I'm just
I mean, I can even say though the Joburg rave scene, specifically the drum and bass scene. I'm not local. I've only been here a few months, and
Yeah,
so
but you way too chill to be a Josie.
I was going to all these, all the raves by myself, but every single time, especially the drum and bass guys, super awesome, lovely,
Yeah.
big family vibe.
Yeah.
I was leaving there, after every rave, 10 new people had added me on Insta, please stay in contact. Following week, messaging me, are you coming this weekend? Are we going to see you on Saturday night, Friday nights?
Yeah.
Super cool. So, don't be afraid to come out alone. And then again, I mean,
Yeah.
I guess if you do see any, three of us out, come say hi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
One last thing I want to end on is you did say something there a little bit while back about it doesn't matter what race, what creed, we're all the same kind of thing. That I agree with, except for cyclists.
Yes, bro, this morning on the run.
What about there were some good odds stuff.
There was,
Cyclists were going to be problems.
that guy, like we were having our run.
Yeah.
We were not impeding traffic. We were literally just having our run. We stopped at a stop street for 3 cyclists to pass.
Yeah.
And the last bully started fluking us.
Did he, eh?
Yeah.
They're a different breed.
Yeah.
So speaking of which, thank you guys again for being here. Please, guys, do share the podcast. Share this podcast. Share this if you can relate to this. I know a lot of people who I party with, and a lot of people beyond that are listening to this because we know the communities that we share this with on Instagram and on YouTube and stuff. Share this with people who maybe can relate to it. There's your homework. Reach out to us if you need a party buddy. There's your homework. And if you're at all interested in getting a little bit fit, come around with us on Saturday morning.
And also join us for the 15th of
15th
November. So,
share us a little bit about it.
yeah, so the Conclave obviously is a drum and bass brand. We know this, but we kind of specialize in Neurofunk. I feel it's
Like
like
what you call it is called obsession by some people.
Huh?
It's called an obsession.
It's called an addiction.
addiction. Sorry,
Yeah, definitely addiction. Because it's so raw and so primal, I think a lot of people resonate with it.
Even the Psytrance people.
Yeah, and even the techno guys resonate with Neurofunk, and we're not in this for the money, like I'm sailing boats and stuff. This is purely, I want people to feel what I've felt on a dance floor, that insane rush of energy, that primal energy that you can only get on Neurofunk. So I mean, we've been chatting about mindset and stuff, and it all boils down to frequency and energy, right? And you can tap into that energy through the heart, and your energy that you emanate will attract the people on the same wavelength.
You mean, you're right,
Yeah, and we've attracted you now, Steve-O, who's been such incredible help with our marketing. We've attracted you now, a fellow future Neurofunk addict.
disciple.
Yeah. And yeah, we've really attracted such an incredible community. One of the people, and I want to give this a shout out, is Will X-Corp.
Yes.
Who's been a producer in South Africa for over 20 years, and he was out of the game for
We brought him back, 360, bro.
time. Yeah. And then he came to a Conclave party, and he's like, yes, please. And he's kind of like the operations manager behind the Conclave records, and this is kind of where I'm getting to for the 15th of November. Is like, we started South Africa's I don't know if it's the first one, but definitely the only one, I think, in South Africa currently is a Neurofunk drum and bass record label, meaning that we have local dudes and dudettes who are making South African Neurofunk. And I don't know if you guys are as excited about it as I am. Like, all the big Neurofunk comes from Prague, and like the Eastern Bloc, Russia has some great ones as well, Austria. The UK has a couple of good guys as well, but nothing in South Africa who produce solely Neurofunk. There are incredible record labels that have been cooking for the last couple of years, and they release a big plethora of kind of different musics. But we want to specialize in Neurofunk, and it's a very exciting party because it's going to be the launch party of this record label. So you're going to be listening to homegrown Neurofunk from the first DJ through to the last. You're going to feel, come and enjoy the community. I don't know, what can you say about the Conclave's community?
Bro, what I can say is in a very short amount of time, some of my best mates are in that community.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I go to parties. I always used to jaw on my own, no fear. But now I jaw with mates, no fear.
Yeah.
Like it used to be fearful for me to jaw with mates, but I was like, I don't actually want to be around O's. Maybe I want to be on my own kind of thing. Now I look forward to arriving at the jaw so and go see these guys. Like that's and girls.
Yeah.
Some of the my biggest supporters in what I'm doing with my life are from the Conclave. Rochelle and Jardine, you guys are fucking legends. I love you guys. And I love that the Conclave, one of the other things, we talk about this a little bit as well from time to time about the Conclave as a community and the values that the Conclave as a community shares, and that is one of those is support, man. We support each other and we support other drum and bass communities in what they're doing. And other techno communities and other, techno tribe. Nick Gray is an old OG, bro.
Heavy, yeah.
The O's, okay, he's not strictly drum and bass, obviously he was with the science fiction guys, but I'll back Nick Grader to the nth degrees. He's a legend in what he's done. He's absolutely kills what he does. His parties are
great at what he does.
There's guys out there, Cody from Smoke Backpackers and Earth Dogs. You know Earth Dogs, hey? I mean, these are people that are not in the drum and bass community strictly, but they become very close friends of mine because of our connection on the dance floor. And just standing next to each other, shoulder to shoulder, saying, looking over at them, going, fuck, dude, you did this, eh? Well done.
This is the rave thing.
Yeah. So I think just to really drive home the point, man, don't be fearful. Get in touch with us. Put a comment down below wherever you see this, whatever it is. Just get in touch, because there's people out there who are waiting or looking for, can't wait to welcome you with open arms and say, come.
Absolutely, man.
There's a space here for you.
That's the thing, and I think also just to kind of end off is like the Conclave is not a place where we want to take your money, you come and have a good time and then you leave. We are extremely invested in our human connections with the people who come to our dance floor and support us, and it's ultimately for them that we do it, but also for ourselves, But what I want to kind of guide this towards is like, the Conclave, me and Morris, are not just invested to get you on a dance floor. We're invested on how you are doing. Hoe gaan het? Folk, let me know. Let's connect authentically. We want to support our people by like doing cool giveaways. Like we did a small little controller giveaway at our festival. It's because we want the community to get involved and start DJing and expressing themselves in that way. So there's an open-hearted community within the Conclave, and it's not exclusively to the Conclave. There's other parties who also do that, but I'm part of the Conclave, so I'm just speaking from my perspective. Is that we want to empower our people to be individualistic, to be free, to be authentic. And how we're going to do that, who knows? It's an unfolding journey, but what we can give to the people is kind of a mindset of like, let's be our best versions together. Let's climb this mountain together, because it's lonely at the top if you do it alone. Let's do it all together, as a community. Let's empower ourselves spiritually, whatever that means to you. That's fine. There's no it's an inclusive environment for everybody. Let's empower ourselves physically. It's lekker to feel lekker, So it's really a community, and the intention behind the Conclave is really just to come and express yourself, empower yourself, and be yourself, and connect with people who are on that same wavelength.
100%.
Yeah.
Well put, my brother.
Dankie. Thanks, Ivo. That was great.
Can we just also, before we finish, just comment on how sexy Stuart sounds in this fucking mic?
Yeah, absolutely. We spoke
when does your job at the SABC start? Are you doing the UFC announcement?
When are you...
Yeah,
Bruce Buff over here.
When are you getting Joe Rogan on your podcast?
we've been speaking with his team. We are, hopefully next month, guys. So tune in.
He was obviously the vocal coach for Morgan Freeman. And
you might know him from his work with, Morgan Freeman and Brad Pitt.
Yeah.
Come on, boys.
Yeah, that was good. Thank you, guys.
It was real.